Hey everyone, this is Bradley Benner with Lead Gadget and the ATM. And today is August 4th, 2016, 7:30 a.m. Eastern. And looks like we got several questions on the events page today, and I'm excited about that. It's good to see some people actually participating. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen, guys, and we will get right into these questions because it looks like there's many, and I want to make sure we have enough time to get through all of them. Okay, so let's jump right into it. By the way, I hope you all are liking the new interface. Our builders are digging it, so there's certainly some new features that make things easier, like adding multiple subdomains and all that. I haven't done any building with it yet, but my builders are, and they seem to like it, so that's pretty cool. All right, give me 1 second. And we're going to jump right into questions. So again, guys, thanks for posting questions. Florian, good to see you, buddy. We miss you in the mastermind. It's Semantic Mastery, but anyways, glad to see you here. All right. Florian says, hey, Bradley, I've got a question using Google AdWords for this kind of website. I tried to call on the AdWords campaign and it worked like a charm. I was paying 2.5, what is that, euros, I guess, call, and I get paid 15 in France for a lead to call a platform like Ring Partner. Okay, so that's a pretty good spread there. I also tried automatic campaigns that will select the keywords based on the content of your website. Not worked all that well, very low click volume, but I think I have to increase my cost per click to test on a larger scale. Did you ever try that? No, I don't like Google AdWords automating anything for me because Google is in the business of trying to generate advertising revenue, right? So they're going to spend your budget as quickly as possible. And I found anytime that I allow AdWords to optimize a campaign for me, they end up spending more money. So I do everything manually inside of AdWords. And remember, I'm not all that experienced with AdWords. I just started doing it about, I've done AdWords for video for about 1.5 years, but for search campaigns, I've only been doing it about maybe 2.5, 3 months, something like that. So, but I've found that if I do everything manually, so I optimize the campaigns myself, build the campaigns and optimize them myself, that I have much greater control and I can really track my advertising dollars and where they're being spent and that kind of thing. Anytime I've ever allowed AdWords to do any sort of optimization, they end up burning through my budget real quick. And so I don't even take the chance anymore. Okay. In terms of de-indexing and even speed of indexing, I think adding an AdWords campaign can protect these spammy sites. It might, Florian. It's not something I've tested at all. Although that's not really a bad idea. The problem I see is, how do you scale that? That's not particularly scalable. If you've got, like, for example, with my builders, they build anywhere between 15 to 30 sites per project or per campaign. And so if we're building, let's say, an HVAC Ring Partner site, we're going to build between 15 to 30 sites altogether for that one campaign. And so that would be not really feasible to create 30 AdWords campaigns, right? For the different sites. You repeat that across all the different campaigns that we have. And I mean, you're talking about hundreds and even thousands of AdWords campaigns, and that just, to me, isn't scalable. So if you're doing it select sites, and it's on a smaller scale, then yeah, it's certainly worth testing, but I can't really say either way without testing it myself. And I hadn't planned on doing the AdWords campaigns for these types of sites, but it might be worth testing. So if I ever end up testing that, I'll let you know. But in the meantime, please feel free to share your results with us. It says, I also use Google remarketing, Facebook remarketing, pixel tracking on my sites. That way I intended to remarket all my visitors with ads. Any input on that? That's a great idea. Like, I don't do any Facebook ads at all. I've just never learned how to do it, and nor do I want to. I just have no desire. Eventually I might learn Facebook ads. I've bought enough courses over the years about Facebook ads. I just could never get into it. But remarketing is certainly a good opportunity, a good way to bring people back to sites that maybe didn't pull the trigger on the first visit, right? And so that's actually a great idea, especially with with either Facebook or AdWords. If you put the remarketing pixel in AdWords, they call it remarketing, and in Facebook they call it retargeting, right? But it's the same thing. If you put the pixel on the page on the site, then everybody that lands on it's going to get pixeled. And after a certain number of people on the list, then it will start to fire off the ads from the remarketing campaigns. If you're using something like, well, Facebook, you can do it within Facebook, but outside of that, you can use something like AdRoll or Perfect Audience or even Google's Display Network if you want to do it direct within AdWords. And yeah, that's a great idea. It's not something I've done anything yet, just because I have not integrated any sort of PPC with these sites. But that's a great idea. If you're going to do it, that's even better, because at least with AdWords or with remarketing, you don't even need to do any search PPC campaigns. All you need to do is have the pixel there, and then you can just use the display network. And the two types of ads that are most common with the with remarketing and with like display ads basically are the 300 by 250 and the 728 by 90. So you really only need two banners, and you can get some pretty good results with remarketing. At least on my regular type sites, I'm getting pretty decent results with that. So I can imagine it would work on these too. And I hadn't thought about doing that. It's not a bad idea. So I might actually play with that a little bit. So, but yeah, man, as far as AdWords for the sites, like doing actual PPC campaigns, it's not something I could see being a good idea for the US, at least without doing some more research, maybe finding some keywords that could be targeted. But again, it's with the way I'm doing it, it's just not really scalable. So it's not something that I planned on doing. Okay. But if you're successful with it, man, yeah, shit. Yeah. Run with it, So hopefully that was helpful. Florian says, I use the plugin Raven Schema Creator to insert local schema markup with a short code. That way each page has a specific name of business. Bob's Plumbing Chicago for the Chicago page, for example, a specific schema URL, and the location without the street address, of course, only city and state and country. Do you experience significant boost by doing that? No, I haven't done that, Florian. Again, test it. That's all I could say is test it. What I would do is set up a control, and in a controlled experiment. So you have, you could do a batch of sites, because usually with just doing an experiment with like one with and one without schema isn't going to be enough to be able for you to determine if it's valuable or not, because there's too many other variables that can affect the outcome of that experiment, or that can affect the results. So what I would do for a test like that is I would probably work on, like I said, a batch of sites. And when I do a batch of sites, it's between 15 to 30 sites. And I might split it up. Let's say I was going to do 15 sites. I might split it up and do something like three tests, where I'd have three sites without schema, or I'd break it up into different groups of maybe 3 groups of 5 sites, and then test different configurations with those 3 groups, and then check indexing rates, and also try to track traffic and things like that, and see which one produced the best results. And that way you'd have a larger set of sites to test across. So you could kind of get a better understanding of how those sites or how those different configurations affected the sites, the performance of those sites, if that makes sense. Okay. So what I'm saying is, whenever I do tests, I don't just do it across like one site versus another. I usually try to create a larger set of test sites, because there's too many variables there, and something really minor can affect the performance of one site that might not be present on the other site, or something like that. And so by creating larger sets of test sites, you can get more data back, and you can try to look for patterns and things like that. Okay. But I mean, that's, and I know that one of the things that have been worked on to add into the new ATM is the ability to add schema markup on the build side of things, because now I don't know when that's going to be available, but it is coming at some point. So in the meantime, if you're using a plugin, that's great. But at some point it's going to be available, and schema should help. Okay. It should help. I don't know how much though, because I haven't tested that yet. I'm waiting for it to be integrated into the ATM before we start doing that. Florian's last question says, I know you consider these sites as spam and short-term projects, but why can't we turn them into evergreen sites? I mean, a lot of local directories use the same techniques that we use, I guess, to generate a shit ton of local pages, and they still exist and are stronger than ever. Yeah, look, the way see it, Florian, is I don't plan on these sites ever being long-term sites. Okay. Doesn't mean that some of them aren't long-term sites. I mean, I know there are sites that have been up for, like Brian and Don have had sites that are up for years and are still up and generating traffic. And I'm sure there are lots of others that have experienced that as well. My point is I don't expect any of these sites to last for any length of time just because I know what type of sites they are. And I know that they are, I've been through enough rounds of de-indexing to just assume that these sites aren't going to, are kind of churn and burn. They're temporary. And so that's why I don't do it. I don't spend any additional time on the sites really other than just deployment and then getting them indexed, or trying to, because we're having issues with that right now. And then adding an overlay plugin on it with the landing page. And that's it, because I'm always worried. Like, I've had too many sites de-indexed over the years, and over the last year and a half with the ATM. There's been a few different rounds of de-indexing, and the last one that hurt really bad with the .xyz domains, we lost 689 sites. My point is, if I had spent any time on doing off-page work on any of those sites, then when I lose the site, it's all for nothing, and it's a complete waste. And in my opinion, it's easier just to build more sites, because once you've generated, once you've built out one site for a particular campaign, you pretty much can duplicate that site. You can clone it or recycle the content. You might want to change a few slight, make a few slight changes to it before redeploying or whatever. But other than that, it's very simple. Like, it's a matter of, once the sites are generated, it's very simple to just rinse and repeat, to duplicate, clone and duplicate, or recycle and redeploy, whatever. My point is that to me, it's a lot more efficient just to pump out more sites than it is to do any off-page work. That way, if I lose any sites, I still have more sites right behind it, like in line, taking its place, or I have the campaign pre-built to where all I have to do is buy a few more domains, add them to the ATM, and then redeploy sites again. And so to me, it's just a faster and quicker way. I'm not saying you guys can't do that stuff, because I know I had somebody hired me for a private consultation earlier this week that was doing something similar to that. They were asking about off-page SEO work to their sites like this. And if you want to do that, that's fine. I don't recommend it, but if you want to do it and you've got sites that you feel are worthy of that, then by all means do it. Okay. So, if you want to build links and you want to do all that kind of stuff, that's absolutely up to you guys. I just telling you my personal opinion, and what I don't want to do it myself, because I've just seen it happen too many times to where I end up losing the site. So I'd rather just build more sites, if that makes sense. He says, I invest a lot in these sites at the moment. They all have personal logo, unique text, premium theme, original images, etc. Let's say I want to invest more and boost the most performing sites. What do you recommend? I was thinking about an IFTTT ring plus publishing premium articles to generate traffic for national keywords. I would absolutely say that's a good idea. Obviously, you don't put the ring on it. You don't put the IFTTT ring around the site until after it has been deployed. Well, you couldn't do it anyways beforehand. But then, yeah, if you want to actually publish, post real blog posts to the site once it's been deployed, you can do that. You can put a ring around it and then syndicate your premium articles or curated posts or whatever to the IFTTT ring. That's certainly going to help. That'll kind of help to also validate the site itself as an entity, especially if you add it, give it a strong brand and add all those semantic connections and everything else, like what we teach, right? 10 to 20 PBN links to the homepage and maybe the sitemap index. Yeah, you can do that. Also, think about the category pages, Florian. Remember, if your categories are typically going to be locations, right? So, and that's how you're going to set up your site. So think about the category pages as also good places to point links to if you're going to do that, right? So you've got the homepage, the categories page, the category pages. So that would give you an individual page for each category. Excuse me. You also have the sitemaps that you could do that for. You could point links to the sitemaps and also to the what is it called? The directory page. If you scroll down to the bottom of the sites once they've been deployed, there's a row of links for like privacy policy and disclaimer and all that kind of stuff. And there's a link down there at the bottom that you can click, and that takes you to a page where it lists all the category pages. So that's another good page that you could hit with links if you wanted to do that. Okay, because that's going to basically push juice throughout your entire site from one location. So yes, all of those were good. Homepage, site maps, category pages, the individual category pages, and then the category index page, which is like, I think it's called the directory link or something like that. Okay. In fact, if I pause the screen, I can tell you exactly what it is. Just give me a second. Let me do that. Oh, you know what? Maybe I can't. Just wait a minute. Let's go take a look real quick. I know you guys aren't seeing my screen. Just bear with me for a minute.
Hello, business owner.
Yeah, it's called the directory page. And that's going to show me the overlay. But yeah, it's the directory page, and the link is at the bottom of the screen. Okay. Excuse me, the bottom of the, it's in the footer, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But that's another really good page to hit with links if you're gonna do that. All right. Let's see. 100 citations for fake address. I don't want to fake a Google My Business because my sites target the entire country. But here's the thing, though. I would consider faking, if you're going to go through all this extra trouble, Florian, I would consider creating a Google My Business listing for it, even if you're targeting the whole country, because that's not going to matter. What's really important is because you're targeting organic SEO, not local, right? In other words, you're not trying to rank your Sharp Shaker site, or excuse me, your ATM. I said blasphemy. Forgive me. You're not going to try to rank your ATM site in maps. At least most likely you're not. You're going to be trying to rank organically, right? But so having a Google My Business listing is good, though, because you can validate the entity. If you can verify the Google My Business listing via postcard or phone call, if possible, which is very difficult to do. But if you can verify it by postcard, now you validated the entity. That's going to make that site a hell of a lot stronger. So if you're going to go through the trouble of doing what you're doing and building 100 citations with a fake address, why not go ahead and get, at least in the US, you can use PO boxes as long as you're using the street address option. Excuse me. And you can register the site as a Google My Business listing, verify the address, and now it's a verified entity, and Google will treat it much better. Okay. So that's something that you could do if you're going to go through the trouble. Like, I've never built any fake citation listings. I've always verified local listings, okay, by using mailboxes that I've rented or PO boxes or whatever. I've even used Craigslist before to find somebody that would receive a postcard to verify an address for me, and then paid them to do that. Okay, so I've even done that before. So there's options that you could use, but I would suggest, if you're going to go through the trouble of doing that, that you of doing all the stuff that you're talking about here, that you consider verifying the listing, and actually create a Google My Business listing. Excuse me. Maybe adding an RYS stack into the mix to generate trust to the homepage and or the sitemap. Yeah, you can do that too. All of those. Okay. All of this may end up costing the $300 $350 per website. Do you think it can be worth it? I mean, again, if you're generating a lot of traffic from those sites and they're producing revenue, and you want to go through that, and spend that additional money to try to boost it or make it perform even better, then why not? I mean, you can. Again, I personally wouldn't do it. I think that's way more trouble than this. I'd rather just build another batch of 50 sites targeting the same keywords in the same area, and just try to dominate for that. That's what I would do. But if that's what you want to do, if it's making, as long as there's a positive return on your investment, and you got to consider not just your monetary investment, but your time as well, right? As long as there's a return on that, then sure, why not? Okay. Brian says, Brad, you talked about Article Forge in your previous video, and you said you were going to try it out. Just wondering what you think of it so far. We're using it, Brian, for our site builds now. Every now and then on some of the more obscure keywords, it comes back. The content's not all that great. And don't get me wrong, the content's not great to begin with. It's better than using e-zine articles, which is what everybody was doing. And I think that's in part why we lost so many sites with that last. I mean, there were several factors in the last big de-indexing at the beginning of June that I think contributed to that. But I think one of them was the fact that pretty much everybody's using e-zine articles, right? And they go search their keyword, and probably within the top 2 or 3 pages of results, they selected their article and spun it and stuck it on a site with 30,000 pages. And you got to think how many of us have done that. And then considering the fact that we build 15 to 30 sites per campaign, that sometimes, we'd use the same piece of content across 5 sites at a time. I mean, it's just some of that content was just so overused by just all of us, really, because we were all getting content from the same source, or for the most part, we were all getting content from the same source. So Article Forge at least is unique when it comes out. The content is pretty much unique. It needs some slight editing because it will pull in content that has location modifiers already in it. So like city names and stuff like that. So, if you're using it, or if you've got virtual assistants using it, got to make sure that they scan the produced content or the content that it generates before adding it to the site, and remove any local modifiers, or replace local modifiers with your local, your custom list short code, right? Something like that. So just keep that in mind. But yes, we are using it. Because after the big de-indexing, we started rebuilding on .coms, .nets, .orgs, and our efficiency with the build times went from, being able to produce anywhere between 10 to 15 sites per day. That was deployment and cleanup. Each one of my builders were doing about 10 to 15 sites per day before the de-indexing, and then after the de-indexing, it went down to like 3 or 4 sites per day. So like our productivity dropped like to a third of what it was. And that was because they were spending so much more time looking for content, in part because I told them, do not recycle the content from the XYZ domains, because that was pulled from e-zine articles. And I told them to go out, and before starting using Article Forge, we were using blogsearchengine.org to try to find content. And it was taking them forever to find content and then extract it from the page, clean it up, run it through a spinner, and then put it in the site. And so that's why we slowed way down. So when we started using Article Forge, that was just to kind of speed up the builds. And the builds are definitely sped back up. We're not back to 15 sites per day yet per builder, but it's definitely increased our efficiency. The builders are performing better now. But again, there's still sometimes that keywords don't return good results from the Article Forge. Like the content comes back and it's crappy, or it's really not relevant, or whatever. And then when that's the case, then they still go search for content manually, and we don't use e-zine articles at all anymore. Next one regarding subdomains. I think it was on the last web, you and another member had found that only the root and one sub was indexing. Are you still finding this the case? Yes, Brian, I'm having a lot of trouble right now with those. It's really pissing me off. If not, is there anything we can do to combat this? Is there something we can rectify the situation if it is still going on? No, Dawn, apparently, Brian sent me a message in Skype yesterday and told me to ping Dawn about something that he's doing for indexing that's working really well. And I haven't had a chance to chat with him yet, so I don't know. But once I find out, I'll certainly share it with you guys. If Dawn hasn't already shared it in the Facebook group by that time, once I have a chance to chat with Dawn, I'll find out what it is that he's doing, and I'll make sure that you guys are aware of that. I'll cover that more in depth once I'm made aware of it on one of the next upcoming webinars. Okay. But yeah, we're still having a lot of trouble. We're still able to get the root indexed and usually one subdomain. And what we've been doing since the big de-indexing and we lost all those sites is we're building on .nets, .coms, .orgs, expired domains that we've purchased that had some level of metrics whatsoever, already. And then what we do is we've been building 3 subdomains per domain. So we end up with 4 sites per domain. But yeah, we're having a lot of trouble where we're only able to get the root and like one subdomain indexed, and then the other ones are just very, very difficult. So it's like we're losing out on essentially 2 sites per domain right now. But I haven't given up yet. I mean, just got to figure out how to fix it. And apparently Dawn has an answer that can help with that. I just don't know what it is yet, but I'll share it with you when I do. Okay. Next, on expired domains, you told us to build on the root on this build. Do you reinstate the original domain? No, Brian. No. I just build the ATM site on the root. That's all. Okay. If you wanted to rebuild the original domain, you could. You need something. You need to pull back the old content from the Wayback Machine. Go to archive.org, and you can actually go look at what the pages were on the site prior to you purchasing the domain. That kind of stuff. There are tools like Blue Chip Backlinks, which is what I use, that you can that has a Wayback Builder in it, which will set like essentially it will show you the Wayback Machine right from within the dashboard of Blue Chip Backlinks. And you can download the archive file, and it will send you a zip file that then you can unzip into the server, and and it will basically, you'll have an HTML site that was rebuilt to look exactly like it was. It was the same content and everything from the previous owner, right? You can do that, and then you could build ATM sites on the root, or excuse me, on the subdomains. But that's not what we're doing. We're just finding domains that have topical trust flow, with the topical trust flow category 0, which is the one that the category that's weighted the heaviest within Majestic, and that was always going to be the first topical trust flow category listed in Majestic. That's always the one that's given the most weight, so they call that topical trust flow category 0. Okay, so whatever that is, we try to make that category fit with the site that we're going to be building on that domain. So, for example, if we're building plumber sites or HVAC sites or something like that, we're going to look for business construction it's business / construction and maintenance, because the business is the broad category, but there's a subcategory for construction and maintenance. There's also home improvement category. That's another good one. So those are two different types of topical trust flow categories we'll look for. So all we do is go find domains that have that as the first or most heavily weighted topical trust flow category for that domain, and then purchase those domains and build on that, if that makes sense. That's all we're doing, because again, we don't want to spend a shit ton of time researching domains and filtering domains. So because we're all about volume, right? And so, unlike Florian, which he was talking about earlier, spending a lot more time on each site and doing all these other things, that's fine. If that's your strategy and it's working for you, continue doing it. And you could really cherry pick domains that you want to build on. But the way we do it is we just go to inside Blue Chip Backlinks. They have every week they update a topical trust flow, or excuse me, a trust flow 10 plus domain list. And at any given time, it's got 2,000 to 5,000 domains on it. And you can sort by the column, the topical trust flow category 0 column. You can sort the spreadsheet, because you can download the CSV and sort by that column. And then you can isolate the domains that are within your specific topical trust flow category that you need for your site builds. And then you can just copy all those domains from the domain column and go paste them in the Namecheap under the bulk options, and it will check to see if all those domains are available. So for example, let me just show you what I'm talking about. If we go over to Namecheap, you guys should be seeing my screen, I hope. Oh wow, you're not. I'll be damned. Oh, I apologize for that. Let's try it now. It's all right. I wasn't showing anything, guys. I was just answering questions. Okay, but to answer to the question that I'm answering now about Brian's question about domains right here. Okay, so in Namecheap, if you go right here to bulk options and you click on that, you can paste a list of up to 50 domains in here and click search, and it will tell you if those domains are available. And so that's what I do. Like I said, I'll go on the Blue Chip Backlinks, I'll download a list. Let me just show you what a list looks like. I'll grab one of the most recent ones. July 6th, I think, was the last one I did. Yeah, it looks like it. Okay. So this is the Excel spreadsheet. You can see that this is how it comes when you download it. So what I do is I come up, and you can see that I have column H over here. Excuse me, column M is my topical trust flow category 0 column. And you can see that I have it sorted already alphabetically. And so that's what I do is I just come over here and I identify it. So let's say that I was going to go with business, construction, and maintenance, because that's typically a lot of the times where, a lot of the sites that I build are in that industry. So I'll come through here and I'll scroll down and look like, I'll look for business, and then we'll go to construction and maintenance right here. You guys see that? So then all I'll do is I'll just highlight. I'll come over here and I'll start at the very top. Let's start with here. And let's make sure that's the right one. No, it's not. Start here. And then I'll scroll down to the bottom to the last one here. And it looks like that's it. And then I'll copy those. Okay. And then I'll take them over to Namecheap, like I said, and just so you guys, in case you didn't see it, from the Namecheap homepage is the bulk options right here. I click on that and then I paste them in here. And then I click search. And it's going to come back with all of the ones that are, it's going to tell you whether they're available or not. And so what I'll do then is I'll eliminate all of the ones that aren't available. And so essentially what I'll do is I'll have either a notepad file like this with the domains that I pulled off originally, or I'll use another tab on the spreadsheet. You can do that. You can open up another tab and do the same thing, paste them in there, and then just go through and get rid of the ones that have already been picked up by somebody else. Because remember, this is a shared list of domains, right? So other people can potentially purchase these as well. So then what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll delete the ones that aren't available. And whatever is left, then I'll go really quickly and just do a quick search on the domains in Majestic and make sure that they're not spammed. That's it. So for example, let's say this one, MyXC or whatever.com, this one is available. So I'd go ahead and copy this and go over to Majestic. Just a second, let me get logged in. I usually look at the www version of the domain. Those seems to have the best metrics. But I'll take a look at it and I'll look at this and I'll say, okay, this one's got a pretty big disparity between trust flow and citation flow. I'm not all that worried about that. Like if I was going to be building out like a regular type money site or something, or a PBN, private blog network site or something like that, I'd be a lot more selective about these metrics. But really what I'm looking for here is I come down and take a look at the anchor text, and this is a good example right here of this is a domain I would not purchase, because you can see that the anchor texts on this particular domain are saying like phentermine pills, and you saw something else here, backlinks, something else. You can tell this is a spam domain. This domain was used for spam, and I can tell just by looking at the anchor text. Some of the anchor text here, if you see any sort of pharmacy stuff or porn stuff or anything about SEO and backlinks and stuff like that, those are pretty much, you can guarantee that those have been spam domains, and they've probably been dropped or expired because they were de-indexed. And so that's all I'll do is for ATM domain research. Again, and I have my VAs do this. They go pull the backlink index, blue chip backlinks report, which is updated weekly. They sort by the topical trust flow category. They go locate the category for the that best fits the project that they're going to be building sites for. Then they copy those domains from that list, paste it into the spreadsheet or a text pad or notepad, go do bulk check on the domains in Namecheap, eliminate the ones that aren't available. The ones that are left, they jump over to Majestic and they very quickly check it out. All they do is paste the www version of the URL in. Okay, then they go scroll down and they take a look at the anchor text. If there's any spammy anchor text, I tell them to delete the domain, skip it, go to the next one. If there's not spammy anchor text, then the next thing they do is they click on the map button right here, and they take a look to see where the backlinks that are pointing to the domain are coming from. If they're coming from China, Russia, North Korea, those kind of sites or those kind of locations, then I tell them typically do not purchase that domain, because it's an indication of spam. But if the links are coming from like the US or anywhere else really other than China, North Korea, and Russia, then I tell them as long as the anchor text profile looks okay and the backlink profile looks pretty decent, then you can go ahead and pick up the domain. That's how we do it. So it's actually a fairly quick process. I have my team leader that does the domain research, and then she actually purchases the domains, and then she assigns the domains to a campaign spreadsheet, and then assigns the campaign to a builder. And then the builder picks up the campaign with all the domains and everything already in place. Then they get to generate the content, deploy the sites. Okay, so that's kind of like the workflow that we go through. Hopefully that was helpful. All right, AJ says, Bradley, since you are famous for testing things, I was wondering if you had any input on whether changing from the 2012 WordPress default theme on our lead Gadget sites to something more unique may have a positive impact on indexing, rankings, and longevity of our sites. Maybe, but I don't know. Again, it's a speed thing for us because of the volume. We're just leaving the 2012 default theme on. And so the follow-up question was, and do you think the 2012 theme possibly leaves a negative footprint for Google since there are so many of us using the same theme? I would say no, AJ. And the reason why is because there are so many people using the 2012 theme. You know, there's just so many people using it. We are really a very, very, very small group of people in the ATM, right? In the lead gadget group. So you got to consider how many people are using WordPress and how, we're just a very, very small handful. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't some sort of issue. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I don't think that there is. However, there are certain things that could be, that could, if it's kind of like a logic thing, right? So like if there's a 2012 theme on this site, like this could be created algorithmically, right? If there's a 2012 theme and there's 30,000 posts on the site and, blah, blah, blah. If all of these conditions exist, it's a spam site. That could be possible. So having the 2012 theme could be one of the factors that contribute to something like that. But you got to think about how many WordPress users there are and how many of those are using the 2012 theme, which is still a lot. I don't think that it's an issue personally. So, and I don't want to spend all the time going through and updating the theme on every site. Maybe it's something that we should look into, but we just haven't done it. We just leave the default theme on it, deploy the content or deploy the site, and then go in and do the cleanup, and then we add the overlay. Once we get the site to start indexing, we add the overlay. All right, that's what we do. Just again, it's a volume thing. It's how quickly can we get the sites up and just put more of them up. But test it, AJ. If you're gonna, again, just like what I told Florian earlier, if you want to test something like that, go ahead and select a particular campaign that you're going to build sites around. Let's say you're going to build 10 sites in that for that particular campaign. Then go ahead and try it. Try, 2 or 3 sites with the 2012 theme, and then try different themes on other sites, and kind of test the results and see if one of them or if a few of them outperform the others. See if you can find some sort of pattern there, right? Brian says link shorteners for each landing page in the same niche for Ring Partner. Should we use a different shortener for each landing page in the same niche so we can track the site performance, or should the link be the same for each lander in the same niche? Which shortener do you recommend? Thanks. Brian, that's actually a really good idea. That's not something that we have done yet, but I read your question earlier before we started the webinar, and I thought, that's a great idea. And so I set up a test right before the webinar to see, because I had thought about doing this before, but I just assumed that the overlay, because that's how everything we use is for, we build all our sites, we use the overlay. And I just assumed that when you put the landing page URL in the overlay, or the layer beta plugin now, right, that when somebody landed on the page, it didn't count as a click because somebody didn't physically click the link. Instead, it's iframed on top, right? The overlay plugin or the layer beta plugin just let it iframes the landing page on top of the other site. So I wasn't sure if it ever counted as a click, and I just never tested it. So we have used just the same landing page URL across all sites in each campaign. So in other words, if we've got 20 HVAC sites, we have one HVAC landing page, then it's been the same URL across all 20 sites. But when I read your question earlier, I thought, I should have tested this a while ago. And so I went ahead and used goo.gl, so the Google link shortener, to test it really quickly, and it indeed works. So each time the page loads, so each time a site loads, it counts as a click. So I don't know if that let's put it this way. I don't know if when the bots crawl the page, if it would count as a click, but I know when the page is physically loaded in a browser window, it counts as a click, whether it's a desktop browser or a mobile browser, because I tested it for both, and I used a goo.gl short link. Let me show you what I mean. Let's see if I had that open. No. I'll show it to you real quick. So this is the one that I set up just this morning, and you can see that I have 6 clicks registered, and it shows Windows and Android, Chrome and Firefox, because I tested it in 2 different browsers, and I also tested it from my desktop and my phone. And so if you guys see that, and here, I'll just open up remote desktop real quick, and we'll try it again in another browser and see what happens. And we should see this go from 6 to 7 right after I load the page. So let me show you what I mean. This is from a different IP now too. So what I want to do is copy this URL. Oh, wait, that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is take the domain URL, not the, if I load this URL, which is the short URL, it's automatically going to count as a click. But what I want to show you is that it will register as a click when the underlying ATM site loads in a browser window. So let me pause the screen for a second and I'll show you what I mean. I want to go grab the URL for this. This is a site that's not indexed anyway, so I don't know why I care. But let me just show you. Grab the screen. Okay, you guys should be seeing Firefox from my remote desktop. So if I load this URL, you're going to see it's going to show the overlay. This is the overlay right here. Okay, so let me go ahead and close that. And if we come back over here and refresh, you should see 7 clicks now. See how it says 7 now? And if you can see, it's not showing it because it was still within it was Firefox and it was a Windows operating system, but you can see that it just registered as a click when that page loaded in the browser window. So that's actually a really good idea. Now, excuse me, I don't recommend using goo.gl for your link shortener for these. I like it because I get these click analytics and all that stuff, but I wouldn't, but you're essentially giving Google, you know, access to the links and to your sites when you do this. So I don't recommend, this was just for a test. I don't recommend using goo.gl for this. However, for and this is a service that we do use, but I'll show it to you. And we haven't used it for this yet, but this is a paid version, guys. I know there's free link shorteners out there. What I like about this one is it gives you a lot of control and it gives you beautiful reports that you can create with all different kinds of filters and stuff so that you can really dial down or drill down into your reports as to where your clicks are coming from and that kind of stuff. So this is called ClickMeter. Again, it's a paid option, guys. There's some pretty good, I'm using the $29 a month plan. And so you get up to 25,000 clicks per month that it will track and 2,500 data points, which I think are different links or something like that. So you can have up to 2,500 landing page URLs, individual landing page URLs that you track right through this. There's probably other free options out there, guys. I'm just letting you know I'm using this one, ClickMeter, and we're on the $29 a month plan, and I really like it. It gives us beautiful reports and everything else. So this is something that I'm thinking we'll probably go back and actually set up campaigns so that we're creating a unique URL for each landing page. So again, let's say we've got 20 HVAC sites and we have one landing page for all 20 sites. What we could do is create 20 unique landing page URLs and then put those on each one of those sites. It's still the same landing page. It redirects to the same landing page, but that way we could track and see which sites are giving us the best results. And we can really dial down into which keywords are producing the most traffic and that kind of thing. And that's actually a really good idea. And I just hadn't tested it before to make sure that when a page loads, it registers as a click, but according to goo.gl, it does. I'd have to test it with ClickMeter. But if that's the case, that's a great way to really dial in, especially when you build a batch of sites like what we do. That's a great way to dial in on your best performing keywords, right? And that's a good idea. So I'm going to definitely work on that, and we'll let you know in an upcoming webinar how that's going. But check out ClickMeter. I like it. Okay. The last question, which is a lot of questions, and then we're going to be done because it's almost 8:30. Bradley, I'm new to Lead Gadget and heard about it from you in the IFTTT group. I have several questions about Lead Gadget for local, say like plumber in state of California for a 20-mile radius or service area around Sacramento, for example. For keyword research, would you use short tail term and put it into Power Suggest Pro to get the long tails and build one Lead Gadget site for that short tail / long tail set? and build out that custom list for Sacramento and the cities and towns with the 20-mile radius, and then repeat that with short tail number 2 and long tails for site number 2. I'm not, what we do, again, my team leader does this now for me, is she will do the keyword research, and the same keyword research that I always teach. I always start at Google Trends, put in my seed term. If I'm going to drill down to a specific area, then I will drill down using the filters in Google Trends to that location. And then I'll go back and pull out the keywords from the top and the rising keywords that Google Trends returns for that area, right? And then I'll go paste those into, or not me, my team leader does it now, but she goes into Power Suggest Pro with the seed set of keywords that she extracted from Google Trends, and then she'll drill down on those for the long tails from Power Suggest Pro, and then she copy all once it's generated, and she drills down on each seed term. So like if she ended up with 8 terms, she's going to do 8 separate drills on so one for each keyword. Once the drill is completed, she copies all and pastes them into a column in a spreadsheet, and then cleans the keyword list, filters them down to just the keywords that are relevant to the campaign, right? And removes local modifier, keywords with local modifiers and that kind of stuff. And so then we only do the keyword research once. It's done one time up front, and then that's all that is required for the entire campaign. From there, she will select from, let's say, like I said, let's say there was 8 seed terms to begin with. So she'll have 8 columns in the spreadsheet. Once everything's been cleaned down, it's been distilled down to just the keywords that we're going to use in the campaign, she'll go through and select the ones that are typically the ones that are showing in Google Trends are going to end up being your site titles anyways. But what she'll do is collect so we'll build, like I said, if we had 8 seed terms, we know that we're already going to build 8 sites. But then out of those keyword lists for each of those 8 seed terms, we'll usually find supporting keywords for that seed term that are usually longer tail in nature. For example, if we said like HVAC service would be like one, then maybe HVAC repair service would be another one, because that's just a longer variation of the same keyword, right? And so what she'll do is she'll go and find an additional, if we had 8 seed terms, she'll try to find an additional 2 or 3 keywords per seed term that we will add into the builds, because we're already going to build 1 site per seed term. So that's 8 sites. But if she can find 2 to 3 additional supporting keywords in that column for each seed term, then she'll go ahead and add those to the site title list, which means the site title list is each site title gets its own site. Okay. So for example, if we ended up having 2 additional terms per seed term, now we're looking at 3 terms per total per column, and at 8 columns, that's 24 sites. So hopefully that makes sense. And then what we do is we create our tag list and our keyword. We create a keyword short code out of all keywords, right? So again, we've distilled them down to just the ones that we want. We take all 8 columns, combine them into one list, put them into a spin tax generator, and then we create a keyword short code, not a custom list code, but a keyword short code out of that we use in the content as like alt text for images or whatever. And then we also take those that same list of keywords, all 8 columns, right, put into one, and we create our tag list out of those, and we spin our tags. Okay. And that's it. And then, like I said, so all that is determined on the front end by the team leader before it goes to the builders. Once the builders get it, everything's laid out for them. All they have to do is add the domains to the ATM, and then they generate the content, but the tags and the keywords, everything has already been done for them. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. And that's what we do. Like I said, we build 1 keyword. We usually pick the keywords that have the most search interest to build the sites on, and we use the tags and the keywords that we've generated from drilling down into them using and in creating a short code. We use those within the content, and that kind of helps to reinforce the site. Hopefully that makes sense. If building out a site, or if building out, say, 15 sites around 15 short tail, long tail combinations, and I'm using new domains, what would you name each of the site or domain name? Well, in that case, I typically will use some sort of we're not really buying new domains anymore because we're buying expired domains, like I just showed with blue chip backlinks. But if you want to buy brand new domains, what I typically do is find something like a keyword, not an exact match keyword, but like a variation of the keyword, and then add something like pros to it, or pros, or bros, or LLC, or Inc., or CO for, for company, or CORP for corporation, something like that. So, for example, if we're talking about plumbing, I would say something like pipe pros, or pipe bros, or pipe, or something like that. Or you could even say, like, plumbing, plumber Inc., or something like that. That's what we usually do, is just try to find a single keyword. So I don't like to use exact match keywords and domains anymore at all, but partial match is still okay. And so that's all I'll do. And we'll add in, some other words or whatever to so that we can find domains that are available, like pros, bros, LLC, team, specialists, anything like that. Hopefully that helps as well. For spun content, would you optimize the content for short tail and corresponding long tails? Excuse me, therefore needing 15 spun articles for 15 sites? Not necessarily. I tell my builders I don't want to use a piece of content for more than 5 sites. But yeah, no, usually because of the way we use the keyword short codes that I just talked about, how we generate the keyword list and then we create a short code out of the keyword, we can pretty much use one piece of content. I don't like to use it across more than any more than 5 sites. But because we add the keyword short code into the content, it ends up that it's going to at random select one of the long tail supporting keywords out every time that short code, there's an instance of that short code in the content. So if we use say we got an 800 word article and we use the short code usually about 2 or 3 times per article. So we're actually getting a variation of one of those keywords in there 2 to 3 times per article. And then obviously it's in the site title itself. And so, and then if, we're not really doing images right now, all we're using is videos. But if we were using images, those keywords would also go in the alt text of the images, and it would select one at random from the entire list, right? That's why we build that short code the way that we do, so that it adds diversity to the builds. Okay. So we don't do a new piece of content for every site. That would take an enormous amount of time. So what we do is just recycle a piece of content, but we just change the site titles. And because we've used the short codes with the keywords in them, each time it deploys, or even the recycled content, each place that keyword short code, each instance of that keyword short code is going to be a different variation of the keyword each time it deploys, because it's such a long list, right? We might have 300 or 400 keywords in that short code. So it's going to add diversity every time that page or that post is deployed, because it's going to select at random one of those 300 to 400 keywords. Okay, so there's no need for unique content for each site build, because the content's going to be unique anyways. I just don't like to use it more than 5 times. All right. Would you make each of the 15 sites unique by changing the WordPress theme and adding some unique homepage and say service page? No, we don't do it, just because of the sheer volume of sites that we do, but you can test that. We just talked about that in a previous comment. So I will go ahead and move to the next one. Would you interlink the post to the post category, which then links to the corresponding short tail page, as you teach in IFTTT about a companion website silo structure? You can test that. I have not found, I've tested that in the past, and I have not found that the extra time required to link up to the category page. First of all, it's difficult to do when on the deployment. You can do it, but you have to mess with the custom list short code. It's a bit geeky setting it up. I know, because I've tested it, and it took me a while to figure out how to do it exactly. I had to test across, I deployed sites and then bomb them and deploy them and bomb them until I got it right. And it was kind of weird setting it up. And anyway, it had very, very, very little effect, if any at all, on ranking. And so we just don't do it. We just build the sites out with the categories as taught in the training. and that's it. We don't do any sort of silo structure on these sites. If that function becomes available at some point, we will certainly use it. But right now, I've not seen any benefit from trying to manually link back up to the category pages. So to me, it's just not worth it. The extra time involved has such a little impact that it's not worth the extra time. All right. So as far as silo structure, don't even worry about that with these sites. Just move on. Don't overcomplicate this. Just build more sites. Okay. You mentioned using just content and also video in each post for your lead gadget sites. How do you add videos so they're not the same video on each post? Is there a way to spin them in? Yes, there is. And so all we do is, like, let's say if we come over here, make sure you guys are seeing my screen before I move on too far. Yeah, you are. All right. So let's say what I do is I'm in Firefox now. I train all my virtual assistants to do all their SEO work in Firefox. So we're in Firefox right now. There's a plugin for Firefox. It's called Link Gopher. Okay. So if you just go to Google and you type in Link Gopher plugin for Firefox or whatever, you start typing it in, you'll see it's going to be the first thing that comes up. And you could even say Firefox if you want. Link Gopher add-on Firefox, something like that. So this one right here, Link Gopher add-on for Firefox. And if you see, that's this little thing up here. So that's what we do. Then what we do is we go to Google search settings up here. You click on the icon from the Google from one of the Google pages, and you go over here to advanced search. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, let me back up. You go to search settings right there, the first link, search settings. And we click this up to, we turn off where it says Google Instant Predictions. You want to turn that off, never show instant results. And then you're going to turn this up to show 100 results on the search results page. Okay. And then we go save. Now it says your preferences have been saved. It's going to return you back to that same search. And now if you look, you'll see that I've got 100 listings here, right? There's 100 listings on this search engine results page. All right, so then what we do is we search for the keyword. So let's say we're going to say HVAC service and repair, something like that. You could just say something like that, whatever. All right, and we click on that, and then we go over to videos, the videos tab. We click on that, and now you'll see that all of these, this is just all videos that have something to do with HVAC service and repair, right? So this gives us all these videos here that now we're going to scrape and use in our content, okay? So what we do now is under the Link Gopher plugin or add-on browser extension, whatever, we click on this, and you're going to see how there's a drop-down that says extract all links or extract links by filter. Well, what I do is I do extract links by filter, okay? And then what I'll do is I'll put in here watch, and if you take a look, all YouTube videos have this. It's youtube.com/watch?v equals. So all I want to do is extract YouTube videos here, nothing else. So there's all these results on this page, but some of them aren't YouTube, right? And so all I want to do is extract YouTube videos. So I'm going to type watch ?v equals. And what that's going to do is it's only going to extract all the URLs on this page that have that in the URL. So if I click OK, here's just the YouTube URLs from this page, right? So then what we do is we go ahead and copy all. So let me just highlight these. And we're going to go ahead and we can put them into a notepad. So like I showed you this notepad earlier, let's go ahead and put it in here. And then what I do is copy the first part of the URL. So I do the whole URL up until after watch ?v equals. All I want, so let's put it this way, all that I want to leave, I'm going to go ahead and remove all of this part of the URL. The only thing that I want left is the video ID. And that's what this is here, the video ID. Everything after the equal sign is the video ID. Okay, so that's all that I want to keep. So what I do is select and copy the first part of the URL, then I go to edit, replace, paste that in to the find what and replace with, and leave that blank and click replace all. And once I click close, now all I'm left with is the video URL or the video IDs. Okay, then what we do is go spin these together into a shortcode. So there's a spinning tool that we use from indexbear.com, free spin tax tool. We go ahead and put this in here. Let's say that we had, I don't know, I'm going to say 150 results. I know there's not that many in there. And I click generate spin tax. And now if we go copy this and we paste it back into the spreadsheet, I'll go down to the bottom. You'll see that this has already been added into spin tax. Oh, wait a minute. What I got to do is this. Just give me a second. That's right. I forgot. We got to, because we don't want to add all this stuff in there, and it will add it in there unless you set all those down. So let's try this again. There we go. So there's our spin tax. Now you go create a regular short code out of this. And what I usually do is title the short code based on the project, because we'll use the same list of videos for all the sites in the campaign. So like, again, if this is HVAC, I might put the short code might be named HVAC video URLs. Okay. And then that's what so that would look like this, right? It would look like HVAC video URLs. Okay. And then we will add this short code into the ATM video short code, right? So when you, on the ATM, when you click that, well, at least in the old interface, I haven't done any building in the new interface yet. My builders are, but I have not yet. So I'm not sure where it is in the new interface, but with the old interface, there's that slide out button on the right that you click, would give you the map short code and also the video URL or the video short code. And you could insert that, and then in between the quotes inside that short code, there's quotes, and that's where you would put the video ID, which is one of these, just one of these. Instead, you put the short code in there, right in between the quotes. And so each time a post is deployed or published, it's going to at random select one of these video IDs. So that's how you do it. Okay. So once again, just to walk through this, first go look for Link Gopher, Firefox add-on, install that. Then you're going to go search for your keyword in Google, and then you want to also go to search settings. So click on the settings thing icon, and then click on search settings. Turn off instant results. Turn it all the way up to 100 results per page. Click save. Then go search for your keyword. Use a broad keyword, not a real narrow keyword. This was a bit more narrow. I could have just done something like HVAC or HVAC service, something like that. Then go to the videos tab. Then you want to click the link over button, go to extract links by filter. You're going to want to type watch V equals, and then click OK. That's going to extract all the YouTube URLs. Then you copy those, trim down the URL to just the video ID. You can do that with Notepad. And then go to that index bear spin tools, or if you got another tool that you use for that, you can certainly do that. And you want to paste those into here, turn this up to 100%, or you got to turn these other ones down to 0 first. Turn this up to 100%. Just set this number of variations up higher than the number you've put in there. So like 150 is always going to be enough. Click generate spin tax, copy that, go create your short code, and then you're going to put your short code into the build by using the ATM video short code, and then just putting in the short code that you created in between the quotes. Okay, and then click deploy or save or whatever. Okay. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. I'm already over. I've got to get off this webinar, guys. So I've got to run through these next ones very quickly. Since the strategy of lead gadget sites is to rank for many, many long tail terms with city, state, and zip code modifiers, when these long tail posts rank, how would you work in your call to action if your goal is to get the visitor call a plumbing client using a lead tracking phone number? Because I use the overlay. That's it. All my sites have one overlay on them, and that's it. If you want to do something different, you certainly can, but you have to customize individual pages and post that way. I just build sites, put the overlay on it, and I'm done. Okay? The overlay is going to have the tracking phone number on it. Back to content. Does it look strange to Google to have just one category with posts based on one short tail, long tail combination, with the main difference being the geographic modifier? No, I don't know how you're building sites, Christy, but the way that we build is the categories are location categories. There's on a national build, there's states. If it's a local build, then you can use like if you're doing a statewide build, you can use counties as categories. If you're doing a countywide build, you can use cities as categories, right? So, you know, that's the way that I always build is I use the categories are location based categories. So we don't just have one category. I don't even know that you can build with just one category, to be honest. Okay. All right, guys. Well, hopefully that was helpful. I'm over. I've got to go. So we will see you guys maybe next week. I've kind of pushed these back to doing like one every other week because I have a bunch of webinars for my main business, Semantic Mastery. We have webinar heavy weeks, and then so it's like we have 1 week on with webinars, 1 week off, 1 week on, 1 week off, and that's just our normal schedule. And it's difficult because I have several webinars scheduled on Thursdays, so that's why I've kind of bowed it back to just every other week. On the weeks that I'm not heavy with webinars for Semantic Mastery, that's when I do the Lead Gadget webinars. So don't know that we'll be here next Thursday, but we will be in 2 weeks for sure. So appreciate everybody posting questions. That was good. We'll see you all next time.